Okay, I'm going to do a little demonstration on how to create a special ditch in Select Series 3. So what I got here is I have a center line that's referenced in from a geometry file. I have a terrain model that's referenced in as well, and so I'm going to come in and go ahead and build a corridor. And so I'll go ahead and hang a corridor off of this center line. Reset for active. I'm not worried about the corridor name. Create a template drop. We're going to use a 2-lane. Let's do alt. We're going to do a rule, 2-lane rule template on it. So we'll accept that. We'll go all the way from the beginning to the end. Template drop intervals at 10, no transitions, and we have our corridor. So one of the things that I did for this corridor and for this template is you see the corridor graphics, the 2D corridor graphics that I have drawing in, which is our edge of pavement, our shoulder, and then I have also turned on the ditch, right ditch foreslope. So basically the inside edge of the ditch. And so to do that, you basically need the feature, and so I can go into, whoops, resize this a little bit. I guess I can't really resize it much. You can go into the feature, and so I will go into templates, rule, 2-lane, and we'll look at that. And as I go into look at the ditch, and I have the feature assigned to that ditch line is grade ditch foreslope. Oops, there we go. And so I'll go ahead and close that. So grade ditch foreslope. So if we go into our Project Explorer and go into our civil standards, so I've already run this corridor, so it put the features that it needed into the active file. And so if you want to, but you probably want to do this in your DGN library. But for this case, I'm just going to go into our file, go into the grading, and here's our grade ditch foreslope. And so if I go in and do properties on that, you can see that under the linear default settings, there's a create template geometry, and I turn that on to true. And so when it runs the corridor, it will create that geometry from the template, and that's what causes it to draw that edge line in there. If I also go in and look at like my edge of pavement, see roadway edge of pavement, and look at that, you will also see that that is turned on as well. So. Okay, so we run our corridor. We have our corridor graphics in there that I'm going to utilize. And so now I'm going to change files, and so I'm going to open up my geometry file, and so I can either go in and just open it up, or I could just do a right click on it and do like an exchange, and then take me into that file. So here's my my center line, and as you can see, I've referenced my corridor back into my geometry file. So that's why, so I have access to this information. And so I'm going to pick on my center line and go in and go to my open profile model, and I need to pick a view. I'll pick on view 8 here, and you can see that there's my center line. And so what I want to do for my special ditches is I want to go ahead and I want to put the profile for my standard ditch is what it is right now. So I'm going to go into vertical geometry. I'll do a project profile to element, and then ask you, okay, what do you want to project? I want to project my ditch onto my center line. So I click on that, and so now if I zoom in, you'll actually see that ditch profile that's projected onto my center line, and so it's showing up as a blue profile. So at this point, I will go in and just real quickly simulate a special ditch profile. We can utilize, well, we'll go in and just do a profile line between points. We'll turn that on. I'm going to make sure I have my, well, actually, let's do a different command. Let's do a profile complex by PI. And we'll put in a curve length of 0, and so that'll automatically create a PI to PI profile with and automatically complex it for us. So if I want to, I can use my Civil AccuDraw, and I do need to go in and like pick on an element, and oops, go into my Civil AccuDraw. Yep, try this again. There we go. You have to like pick on a profile element, I guess, to bore down into it, but to get the Civil AccuDraw to come up. So in this case, you know, I could snap to point on our profile that is there, which would be kind of a standard profile. I could go in and I could put in a specific station. So if I wanted to start at my special ditch at 23 plus 0, 0, I could do that, and that will set my horizontal location for me, and then I can just snap to that profile and then start my special ditch there. And for this, I'm just going to throw in some grades, and so if I go to the next one and arrow over, I get the curve parameter, I get to my grade. So if I want to put in a -1% grade, I can do that, and maybe I'll just do a grade down and then grade back up to, go in to 29 plus 0, 0, and then we'll just snap to that, and that will be the end of our special ditch. So essentially there's our special ditch. You notice the symbology is the same as the center line, but I can do a element selection on that and then go up to my element templates and go into linear, and I believe I can go down to, if I can find it, road special ditch, and this is on the right hand side, so I'll pick that, and so that will change the symbology, so at least it will look different. It's still associated with the centerline profile, and so you know, I could leave it like this, or I could go in and just delete that one, and then so I have just my special ditch here. One of the things I do need to do is it does not automatically name it, so I need to do a properties on it, go into the feature name, and I will just name it special ditch right. And so whatever you name, you want to provide that. So now we have a special ditch name, and so I'll go ahead and close the profile box, and I can grab onto this, right click, and do an exchange, and that will take me back to my corridor file in the same location. And so now we are ready to assign that profile as a point control. And so we'll just come in here, go to our tasks, go to corridor modeling, do point control, and so I'll pick my corridor, and let me go ahead and turn my civil AccuDraw off. I don't need that any further. So it's asking for a start station. I've just clicked on Alt, which will go to the very beginning, and then I'm going to do an Alt for the end as well. And I'm going to call this Point Control Special Ditch Right, or SPDTRT. And we're going to name that. And then in this case, we are going to set our point to the right ditch foreslope. If I arrow down or arrow back up, I can browse through the different points. If I was on the left side, I could hit L, and it'll take me to L. But in this case, I'm on the right, so I'll hit R and then just browse down to my right ditch foreslope, and that's that point that we want to control with our profile. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick that. We're going to want to control that point vertically, and we are going to control it with linear geometry. So since I am not in that geometry file, I can't go directly to a profile window and select my profile. And so what I need to do is I'm going to click on my center line, and it says except to use active profile mainline. That's not what I want, but I can drag the dialog box over here, and you see the active profile is set to mainline, but I can select on that, and I can select my special ditch right, and so that will make that the profile that this point control is going to achieve. So I hit priority 1 and vertical offset of 0, and it will reprocess our corridor for us. Okay. One of the things you might notice is you really didn't see this special ditch line move, but if I go into my corridor, in my dynamic cross sections, pick my view 8 and bring up my cross sections a little bit bigger. And so as I flip through my cross sections, you'll see the point control started to show up right there. So it is controlling that point, but you notice that it is just changing the slope rather than changing maintaining the slope and changing the horizontal offset. And so that's one of the things I did run into. So I am going to go into my template, and so if I right click on that, do an edit template drop, and zoom into my foreslope point, and you see it's set to horizontal and slope. And so in this case, it's trying to maintain that horizontal, and it's modifying the slope to get to the elevation. And so in this case, if I go in and change my horizontal and change that to vertical, it will modify that and maintain my slope. And so it's just kind of one of those things that it needs to know which one to hold and which one not to. And since we're doing a vertical control, then it will automatically default to the vertical rather than the slope. And so if I go ahead and apply that, click OK, it will reprocess my corridor, and now you do see that ditch line, that horizontal ditch line, is changing based off of our special ditch. And so now I'll go in and go to my dynamic cross sections, pick on that, pick on my view, and as I flip through those, you'll see that special ditch on the right hand side start to show up. You see it's maintaining its slope now and adjusting its elevation. So I mean, it's a little bit of a ridiculous special ditch, but it should give you the idea of what is going on with that. So okay. And so at any time you can go into the geometry and modify that special ditch however you want, and then just reprocess the corridor, and you'll get those updated based off of your special ditch. Hopefully this is helpful for you.